Hello, my name is Dr. Ridwan Fontaine. I teach Islamic Management at IIUM, and today we will finish our discussion about entering paradise. So this video is the conclusion to the series, so I'm very excited. If you remember, I started by asking the question, should we as Muslims be optimistic or pessimistic about entering paradise? And I defined three concepts: optimistic, pessimistic, and delusional. Okay, so again, optimistic means you do the work, you assume that the work is being rewarded, and you're therefore hopeful to enter paradise. But it is understood you have to do the work. And so my conclusions were, in summary, our good deeds are highly rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, much more rewarded than we actually appreciate. Number two, the forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very quick and quite amazing. And on the negative side, there's no doubt that we have a lot of social pressure coming from people, from organizations, and these people are trying to influence us in a negative way, generally for their own personal agenda. So when you put all this together, I would say yes, on balance, we can be optimistic, or we should be optimistic about entering paradise. But, and this is the important thing, there is a key behavior that the Muslims should have, which we kind of have lost compared to the Sahaba. This is something that they did very naturally and we have stopped doing, which is reflecting on the Quran. Okay? There are different reasons why I say this. One is the Quran itself makes a lot of comments about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala criticizes people who do not reflect on the Quran. He complains that people do not think about the Quran or think about the ayats of Allah. There's an ayat in Surah Al-Furqan where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will complain that the people will have abandoned the Quran. So there's a lot of evidence in the Quran itself that this will be one of the major issues. The second reason I say this is because scholars themselves make this point. So for your information, this semester I was attending the class in Usul al-Fiqh from Dr. Ibrahim Nuhu Tahir, and a few times he was criticizing the attitudes of people who don't really get to know the Quran, because his argument is that every Muslim should really get to know the Quran to the best of their ability, and it's really not that hard. The third reason is simply the data which I've collected over the last few years amongst IIUM students. So I've asked thousands of students to reflect on Surah Fatiha and other surahs from the Quran, and they've never had a problem. And in fact, once they start going through the process of reflecting on the Quran, they actually seem to enjoy it and benefit a lot from it. So it's really not that hard, and you know, when you do it, it obviously adds a lot to the quality of your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and of course the Quran. Okay, so that's basically my conclusion to the series. Yes, we should be optimistic, but we should not be optimistic just for, you know, hopefully it's going to happen. There's a lot of work to be done, but we assume that this work will be successful, inshallah. Now in the next video, I'm going to start my series on Surah Baqarah. And there's a few reasons why I want to do that. First of all, it is a continuation and a reply to Surah Al-Fatiha. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And the second thing is, I want to demonstrate the fact that reflecting on the Quran is not that hard. So if I can help people reflect on Surah Al-Baqarah, which is the longest surah in the Quran, then by definition, almost every other surah will be very easy in comparison. Okay, so anyway, hopefully I will see you there. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.